Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a tale as old as time. Men and women, for one reason or another, leaving the warm embrace of family, of friends, of community, to go out intrepid to seek opportunities for themselves and those they've left home. The International Labour Organization estimates about 169 to 170 million migrant workers exist across the world. But good people, when our people go out to seek these opportunities, they encounter some difficulties. They say migrant workers are 3 times more likely to be subjected to forced labor, which is close to slavery. They are also paid less, on the very least level, about a quarter less than all the other people they meet over there. That's why tonight, the 3 of us and our guests have come together to look at the subject matter, a critical look at migration of labor. Karibuni sana.
Wow, indeed, Karibuni sana, like Victor rightly puts it. This is a conversation that is quite timely because each and every time we have a person say that we have to send people out there so that they can get employment. But even as we send them, we ensure that they are protected. When they get there, you know, it's all easier, right? Because we agree that the market is pretty much done.
Yeah.
There's need for working all that.
We will come to that, Linda, because in fact, the statistics also show that quite a few number of Kenyans are also seeking to go abroad. We've seen countries like Canada saying that they will lock the opportunities that, you know, anyone who visits on a tourist visa can then progress to a working visa. That has since been cancelled. But even as you look at the greener, the grass is always greener on the other side. How green is it? Or can we also irrigate the grass that is here so that it is greener or even half of what seems to be outside there? Good evening and welcome to this live broadcast. I am George Maringa. Victor Muyakane is also here, as well as Linda Alela. On sign language interpretation is Catherine Simaloy. But before that important conversation we shall be having with our guests, we shall also be joined by someone from the diaspora to actually get a feel on the ground, a country that we all aspire at some point to visit, the United States of America. We shall be getting a perspective of what it takes, especially in the US. Welcome. But first, let's begin with the top stories.
The highlights.
Tonight, at least 10 people have been confirmed dead following a road accident at Kericho's Kipsitet Road.
Eka kidogo nimeona hii lori imefinya Nissan chini.
You betrayed us. Regional Kupet officials slam National Secretary General Akelo Misori for ending the teachers' strike before demands are met. Man caught on CCTV stealing doctor's phone at Machakos Level 5, days after other thieves targeted patients.
Tukampata kwa hapo, akaambiwa alete simu. Na immediately akatoa juu alikuwa ameweka huku nyuma.
Naomba haki kwa serikali ifanyike, tupata haki, msichana huyu apata haki yake.
Also tonight, crime with gravity. Ugandan Olympian Rebecca Cheptegei dosed in petrol and set on fire by estranged boyfriend. We want to welcome you to this live broadcast, those watching us on terrestrial platforms as well as our website and YouTube. You can find us on X, formerly Twitter, at TV47 News, at Muyakane, at Linda_Alela, at George Maringa _, our SMS line as well as our WhatsApp number. Numbers are on your screen. Catherine Simaloy is on sign language interpretation tonight. We begin on a sad note where at least 10 people have been killed following a road accident at Kericho's Kipsitet area. According to police, this followed a collision between a personal vehicle and a matatu. Police say that the crash occurred around 1:30 p.m. when the driver of a Mercedes-Benz lost control of the vehicle at the Kisumu Ndogo area and collided with a public service vehicle. Take a look.
These are picturesque of the Kericho's wreckage matatu that has so far claimed 10 lives on a Tuesday crash. A survivor recounts the harrowing experience at exactly 1:30 p.m.
Dakika kidogo nasikia kama driver anasema imekufa mbaya. Hii lori inaua mimi tu kama naona. Dakika kidogo nasikia tu toa kabla ya kichwa yangu hajaweka juu namna hii. Nasikia tu sauti ya gari kama safari moja tu.
Witnesses reveal a grim scene.
Lori imefinya Nissan chini. Mama mwingine akalia woi. Huyu mtu anatua aje tunapeleka watoto shule.
The trailer driver heading towards Londiani lost control, swerved into oncoming traffic and crashed head-on into a matatu bound for Kisumu.
Ilitoka Kisumu. Sasa hata sisi tumeshindwa juu ilikuwa imetoka Kisumu, imerudi kuangalia Kisumu. Na imegonga Nissan mpaka Nissan ikaisha yote.
This head collision ilisababishwa, hii transit ilikuwa inaenda chini na imepatikana upande wa wale ambao wanaenda kuelekea juu.
Local residents blame the poor condition of the Londiani to Muhoroni Road, a dangerous stretch marked by unkept promises for repairs, as a possible contributor to the tragedy.
And we want to appeal the government of Kenya today, henceforth, kwamba hii njia hii irekebishwe. Tumesikia inawekwa budget kila wakati na tumekuwa tukishangaa itengenezwe.
Chenye tunaomba bumps kwa hii barabara. Hapa hakuna bumps na hii malori zinatoka huku juu ikikuja na mbio sana zikiteremka huku chini.
10 lives were lost instantly, with 3 others clinging to life in hospital. Many of the victims were parents taking their children back to school.
4 patients, one of them being a baby, 9 months old. We managed to refer 2 patients, a girl, a student from Chemasa.
The trailer driver fled the scene and remains at large. Assistant Chief Gregory Kemei of Kapchebwai area confirms that police are actively hunting for him. Roga Evil, TV47.
Thank you, Ruga. Uganda's athlete Rebecca Cheptegei, who competed at the Paris Olympics Games last month, is in critical condition at Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, MTRH, after a long family feud with her boyfriend. Rebecca Cheptegei, who competed last month, suffered burns to 3/4 of her body when her partner poured petrol on her and set her ablaze. Chichi Josephine with more.
Ugandan athlete Rebecca Cheptegei is fighting for her life after sustaining horrific burns. She suffered 75% burns following a brutal attack by her alleged boyfriend and is now in the intensive care at Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital in Eldoret. Police reports reveal a chilling account where Cheptegei's boyfriend Dixon Ndiema set her ablaze with petrol during a violent altercation at a home in Kinyoro, Endebess, Trans Nzoia County early Monday morning. Ndiema is also said to have been critically injured.
Hali ya kawaida ya mwanadamu. Akawa na huyu mjamaa kwa urafiki. Ikafikia katikati kuna fila wako kusikilizana mzuri mpaka yeye hakuwa naishi tena na huyo msichana. Akawa naishi kwake, ako na mke wake, akawa naishi kule Endebess. Sasa Jumapili akawa sasa amenunua mafuta petrol lita 5 kule Endebess. Na akakuja mpaka mahali mtoto anaishi kimwakia msichana.
Dr. Owen Menaka, the acting CEO of the hospital, has confirmed that both individuals are under intensive care.
So yesterday we received a 29-year-old lady who is a high-profile patient in quite critical condition and was already admitted in ICU, is intubated, fully sedated because of the extent of the burns, which is about 80%. So the 2 patients that we received, much as they are critical, we are doing all the best that we can to get the best outcome for both of them.
Her parents have alleged a sinister motive behind the attack, claiming Ndiema intended to seize their land. They are now urgently calling on the government to intervene and seek justice.
Hii plot akataka hamnyang'anye. Sasa hiyo ndio imeleta sasa msichana akasema hapana, mambo sikaenda kwa DCI. Sasa maneno ilikuwa inaendelea kwa sheria.
Evans Rono, the secretary of the County Athletics Federation, has condemned the savage attack and is demanding swift justice for Cheptegei and her family. Cheptegei, who triumphed with a gold medal at the World Chiche Josephine TV47 Chiang Mai, Thailand in 2021, now faces a battle for her life. Chiche Josephine TV47.
Thank you, Chichi. A faction within Kupet now feels betrayed by their national leaders over what they termed as a secret meeting with the Teachers Service Commission, TSC, to call off the strike. The aggrieved members say their leaders did not brief union members and urged teachers to suspend the strike at TSC offices. Anastasia Mukabi reports.
Just as students across the nation returned to class after the secondary school teachers' strike was abruptly halted as tensions simmered within the Kupet leadership,
we suspend the strike and ask all our teachers to go back to class pending the speedy resolutions of these matters.
The strike, which stretched into the second week, ended following an agreement between the Teachers Service Commission (TSC) and the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers (KUPPET). Addressed issues raised by KUPPET were: review of the career progression guidelines has begun in earnest, while in remittance of third-party deduction has been resolved. In medical scheme, teachers can now access both private and public hospital, while the budget allocation that was reduced from 11 billion has been restored. On promotion of teachers, the Commission shall continue promoting teachers as and when budgetary allocation are available by Parliament, whereas the new CBA will commence once KUPPET submits their memorandum of demands. However, some KUPPET leaders feel betrayed after a national meeting with the TSC occurred without briefing the union members.
They will have informed us early enough that today there will be a meeting that will be done between the union and the Teacher Service Commission.
Teachers are now questioning whether they will hit the streets again.
For how long are they suspending the strike? Will we get back to streets again on January if these other pending issues are not addressed, or what is the way forward? So we are expecting our leadership to come out clear.
Discontent grows as some demand KUPPET national leaders to resign.
Na ndio maana tunasema kwa sababu sasa walimu wamepoteza imani kabisa na uongozi wao wa chama wa kitaifa. The only thing national office inaweza kutufanyia, na tunaomba kwa hisani yao waweze kujiondoa mamlaka, kwa sababu ni ukweli kwamba na wamedhihirisha waziwazi kwamba hawana uwezo.
With talks scheduled for Friday, all eyes are on TSC to ensure full implementation of teacher demands. Anastasia Mkabi, TV47.
Thank you, Anastasia. Acting Inspector General Gilbert Masengeli has been ordered to appear in court on Thursday to purge contempt of court and to explain on the whereabouts of 3 men who were allegedly abducted in Kitengela by men believed to be police officers last month.
The High Court on Tuesday evening gave a landmark ruling ordering the Acting Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masengeli after he failed to appear in court to explain the disappearance of Bob Msheni, Jamil Longton and Aslam Longton, the 3 men who were abducted on August 19th in Kitengela.
I will thus order that the Inspector General shall attend court on Thursday to punch the contempt before further proceedings in this matter.
Jamil Langton, Aslam Langton and Bob Msheni were abducted on Monday, August 19th. On August 28th, Justice Lawrence Mugambi ordered the Inspector General of Police, the Attorney General, Directorate of Criminal Investigations and the National Intelligence Service to immediately reveal the whereabouts of the 3 to the Law Society of Kenya, which has filed the case.
Some 3 people disappear on the same day from the same area, and when I ask the Inspector General to come here, he is not available. What does that mean to me? this country.
Earlier today, chaos erupted at the courts as activists and families of the missing rallied, threatening to march to State House. They demanded action after President William Ruto claimed he had not received any names of missing persons. The protesters accused the government and President Ruto of failing to address the surge in abductions and demanded the immediate release of the 3 men from Kitengela.
The president goes around and says there are no missing people. These are the missing people. Our demand is to release these 3 men unconditionally, and every other person who is missing. We shall march to State House to put a Ruto list of the missing people.
Enforced disappearances in this country must end. This will be the last people na tunataka warudishwe immediately, unconditionally.
Justice Mugambi condemned the acting IG's repeated defiance of court orders, calling it an attack on the judiciary.
Despite the court having directed the Inspector General of Police to attend court, he did not appear virtually. The court postponed the matter to 3 p.m. for the physical attendance of the Inspector General of Police. The petitioners, Ms. Omwenga, appeared virtually. There was no appearance by the respondents despite evidence of service. She informed the court that even after duly serving the order and directions of the court, the orders of the court had not been complied with.
Samira Mohammed for TV 47.
Thank you, Samira. Police in Machakos are investigating an incident where a man was arrested for allegedly stealing a nurse's mobile phone at Machakos Level 5 Hospital on Monday evening. The suspect was nabbed after he was found in possession of the phone belonging to Philip Mumo, a nurse attached to the public health facility on Monday, a day after other suspects were also arrested stealing from patients in the facility. Our reporter Nicholas Mbai reports.
At around 3 p.m. on Monday, while performing his duties at the Diabetic Center, Philip Mumo, a nurse at Machakos Level 5 Hospital, discovered his mobile phone and vanished after attending to a suspicious patient.
Mwendo wa saa 9 hivi nikifanya kazi hapa kwa Diabetic Center, nilikuwa nimekaa kwa room moja, nikatoka kidogo nikaingia kwa room nyingine kuongea na daktari. Nikirudi kumbe nilikuwa nimeacha simu kwa hiyo room yenye nilikuwa nimekaa nikihudumia wagonjwa. Nikirudi nikapata simu yangu imeibiwa.
Mumo's realization turned grave when he uncovered that the so-called patient was actually a thief in disguise.
Ndo nikaripoti kwa security, immediately wakachukua hatua ya kwenda kuangalia kwa CCTV. Kuangalia kwa CCTV wakaona kuna kijana alikuwa ameingia hapo amevaa black. So ndo tukafuatilia tukapata alikuwa ameenda outpatient. Tukaenda na ofisa wa security, tukampata kwa hapo, akaambiwa alete simu. Na immediately akatoa juu alikuwa ameweka huku nyuma kwa sweta yake.
The alarm was raised, prompting an immediate response from the security team. This CCTV footage reveals the young man concealing something in his back pocket before being apprehended by the security at the facility reception. He was caught red-handed, returning Mumo's stolen mobile phone.
Sasa wetu wa security wameenda vizuri control room na tukaweza kumnasa huyo kijana ambaye alikuwa ameimbia daktari ambaye alikuwa ameenda room nyingine kuona mgonjwa mwingine. Nataka kutoa tahadhari kali sasa ya kwamba haitakuwa biashara kama kawaida.
The suspect is alleged linked to a gang that has been terrorizing patients and staff within the facility, casting serious doubt on the security measures in place. Last week on Wednesday, 2 other individuals were arrested at the hospital for theft, further highlighting a troubling trend. Reports of theft at the hospital have become alarmingly frequently, raising urgent concerns about the facility security protocols.
Nikikumbuka vizuri tulikuwa hapa siku ya Wednesday last week, tukiwa na kisa cha watu ambao walikuwa wameimbia wagonjwa simu pale, and it is very unfortunate ya kwamba mtu amekuja hospitali kutibiwa alafu mtu mwingine anachukua nafasi ya kumwimbia simu.
Nicholas Mbai reporting for TV 47 Machakos County.
Tonight, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is expected to capitalize on the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation that kicks off tomorrow in Beijing, China, to pitch his candidacy for the African Union Commission chairmanship. According to government officials, Odinga is expected to give a keynote speech on infrastructure as a partner of Africa, having served as AU envoy for infrastructure from 2018 to 2023. Apollo Kamau reports.
The arrival of AUC candidate Raila Odinga in Beijing, China, aboard the national carrier Kenya Airways with President William Ruto set the stage for a full-throttle diplomatic campaign for Odinga's African Union Commission chairmanship.
Raila Odinga.
Odinga, who was endorsed this past week by the government and 5 other heads of state from the East Africa community, is expected to give a speech on infrastructure during the Forum for Africa-China Partnership, which kicks off on Wednesday to Friday as a partner of the African Union, having served as AU envoy on infrastructure between 2018 to 2023.
We don't want to see Africans to be divided as Anglophones, Francophones, Lusophones. I want them to be Africaphones.
According to government sources in Beijing, Odinga will use his keynote address before the African heads of state to pitch his candidacy as well as face-to-face meetings on the sidelines of the forum. Odinga is backed by a high-powered government delegation led by President William Ruto, who met Congo-Brazzaville President Denis Sassou Nguesso, whose country Kenya is banking its hopes on to get the Francophone vote. Odinga's joint campaign secretariat, led by PS Foreign Affairs Dr. Korir Sing'oei and Ambassador Elkanah Odembo, is also heavily involved in the diplomatic offensive, backed by Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi. A clear picture of the leaders Odinga will engage will become clear when the number of African heads of state will be confirmed. By Tuesday evening, more than 20 African heads of state had arrived in Beijing for the summit. Odinga's main opponent, Mahamoud Yusuf, is from Djibouti, a French and Arabic-speaking country. The other 2 candidates are also from French-speaking countries, Madagascar and Mauritius. Apol Kamau, TV47.
Indeed, we shall be getting more details of that. Remember, President William Ruto is in China to attend that meeting, Forum for Africa Cooperation, together with China. Away from that, merely hours after his arrival, President William Ruto secured an extension of the standard gauge railway, expanded the Rironi-Mau Summit Malaba dual carriageway, and gained more market share for Kenyan agricultural produce in China. However, with a $4 billion trade deficit and strict compliance guidelines blocking some fresh produce from entering the East Asian country, all eyes are on the president's deals as the Forum for China-Africa Cooperation kicks off tomorrow. Take a look.
While exports from Kenya to China stands at a little over $300 million annually, goods imported from China coming into the country stand at around $4 billion, leaving Kenya at the short end of a trade deal that sidelines local products. After his arrival in China, President William Ruto hit the ground running, securing extensions to the standard gauge railway alongside the Rironi-Mau Summit Malaba dual carriageway, unlocking China loans after a 5 or so year freeze.
It is always heartwarming to meet my brothers and sisters from the African continent. At the outset, I wish to express a warm welcome to the representatives of African countries and the AU Commission.
Important opportunity for Kenya-China Comprehensive Partnership Agreement, a strategic partnership that is based on a people-to-people engagement framed on programs that are mutually beneficial.
Beyond infrastructure, Kenya's agricultural sector is set to tap into the vast Asian market, meeting an insatiable demand. Yet, trade between Kenya and China heavily favors the Asian giant, sparking fresh concerns over the marginalization of local manufacturers.
Consider also investing, and then again we need to find together a financing mechanism, and I think it is time for us to engage the Chinese government and also possibly the Chinese private sector in finding a solution, a financing solution, because the necessity of having this infrastructure is agreed across the region, and it's not a Kenyan project. It is actually a regional project in line with the Belt and Road Initiative of the Chinese government.
This also reopens Kenya to Chinese loans, breaking the president's own borrowing restrictions. Hibak Said for TV47.
Hibak, Kenya's new Attorney General Dorcas Agiko-Duor has called for a review of the 2010 Constitution, emphasizing the need to reassess key issues including the potential recall of members of parliament. The new AG also highlighted the importance of considering several factors that could benefit Kenyans.
The office of the Attorney General has just been delinked from the public service. Yes. So right now we have to redo our structure. We have to do an audit of the human resource. We have to fill the vacant positions.
In an exclusive interview with TV47, the new Attorney General Dorcas Ogik believes Kenya is at a constitutional crossroads, calling for urgent reviews on several critical issues, including the recall of MPs and the relationship between the national and the county governments.
As a facilitator, I cannot go into the substance. I'm supposed to make sure that the process is within the law and that people participate in the process. But when it comes to the contents and the substance of what should be done, that now goes back to the public.
The Department of Justice is tasked with overseeing the implementation of the 2010 Constitution. Now 14 years in, key areas under scrutiny include the roles of deputy governors, the funding of county governments, and whether Nairobi should remain a county or be classified as a city under national control. This debate is heating up just days after some MPs proposed extending the presidential term limit to 7 years. It's also happening as President William Ruto forms his government, creating roles like the Prime Cabinet Secretary, which some argue stretch the Constitution, especially with corruption leading to poor governance. For real change, public participation is crucial. The AG's office has recalled all bills related to the Public Participation Act to ensure government actions align with the people's need.
We have 2 bills of parliament on public participation that have been tabled, and then Parliament has also come up with a draft on public participation. So currently, we have recalled all the bills on public participation. The public participation policy is going through Parliament. We have recalled all the bills with the consent of the people who placed them before Parliament, and we are going to redraft the public participation bill.
Paul Kerobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Paul. Activists and victims of alleged violations by the British Army Training Unit in Kenya, Batuk, want the perpetrators brought to book. They continue to decry the delayed justice that has led to long years of them lobbying and several setbacks. What they are demanding for is the government expedite the investigation. Sheila Chelangat reports.
For decades, residents of Nanyuki and its environs have had long lists of grievances against soldiers of the British Army Training Unit in Kenya, Batuk, that has culminated into public hearings investigating their activities.
Issue of Batuk.
The murder of 21-year-old Agnes Wanjiru has remained the highest profile case allegedly done by a Batuk soldier X. Her niece today decried the delaying of justice. More than a decade, her aunt's murderer still remains unnamed.
It's the same pattern.
they're saying we'll respond on this, we'll respond, but they're just giving out promises that we'll respond on this date, but nothing is coming out. Mbona sisi ati kwa sababu napewa the legal aid fund, so siwezi enda. So this is a symbiosis thing that they helping me kwa hii mkono na hingine ananinyanyasa, cause hiyo ni kuninyanyasa.
In July 2021, the Kenya-UK Defence Treaty was renewed but got ratified in April this year due to a wave of objections from communities. This activist today calling for complete investigations to allegations made before signing of other new deals.
There isn't any way to hold them accountable. The best you can do is report to the police station at Nanyuki. And after reporting at the police station, then it is entered on the occurrence book and nothing more. I mean, the soldiers cannot go to Nyati barracks and start calling out an identification parade.
They have also called out the DCI that despite their trip to the UK for due diligence into the investigation, a report of their findings has never been posted.
We filed a petition in court last year. Now we are in September. It is 1 year down the line. We asked the DCI to give us the reports. We were not given.
Why is it that ODPP is not progressively developing systems that will facilitate swift law enforcement?
Let us persuade the British to contribute to the Victim Protection Fund so that also we don't re-victimize victims.
Lawmakers will collate evidence, then engage with the British government on possible redress mechanisms through diplomatic channels. Sheila Chelangat for TV 47.
Thank you, Sheila, for that report, which leads us to a first short commercial break right here on the Daily Report. When we come back, we have more news on the other side, including sports. Just to remind you of our conversation tonight, a critical look at labor migration. Our guests are already here in studio. We shall also be having that conversation, this and much more in a short while. Just stay with us.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
to turn up in large numbers and aid in the fight against the spread of HIV. The stakeholders were speaking during the second Otz Conference. Elizabeth Atieno with the details.
Over 1.3 million people are currently living with HIV in the country. Over 20,000 people have succumbed to the virus. This year alone, 16,752 new HIV cases have been reported, and although the new HIV infections are declining every year, it is evident that the youth and adolescent account for 75% of the new infections. In a bid to address this challenge, a group of young population on Tuesday congregated in Nairobi for the second conference of the Operation 000 OTZ, with the sole purpose of attaining undetectable is equals to untransmissible, U is equals to U, among the adolescent and young people.
And young people are basically saying that they are the solution, a solution to ending HIV, a solution to a better life of a person who is living with HIV.
And you know, it's for the youth, the youth to take ownership. It's for you to take control and ownership of your treatment, and then the youth to take ownership of that we have this. Can we make sure that we know our status before we engage our next sex partner?
Operation 000 or OTZ strategy revolves around a commitment to the 3 zeros, which include 0 missed appointments, 0 missed medication, and 0 viral load, not forgetting that 95% of all people living with HIV on treatment have an undetectable amount of HIV in the blood.
We have about 1.3 million people on treatment. Out of those, in 1 year, for example, 113,000 people miss appointment or miss to come for their pill refill. So we are calling upon all those who are on treatment to also make sure that they follow what the young people are doing.
The OTZ campaign was launched in December 2016 with 5 facilities in Nairobi. As of now, the program is being implemented in all 47 counties, with over 800 adolescents having benefited from different HIV care and treatment sites.
But this OTZ conference speaks of the counter-narrative that we need to celebrate, that meaningful programming and meaningful response must put at the center the dignity of the people who we are programming with and listen to them and program with them.
I think the difference is the degree of implementation. We'd like this in 100% of the facilities, but it's not happening in 100%. That said, I would want to imagine that over 70% of the adolescents and young people who are on antiretroviral treatment are in an OTZ club somewhere.
Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Tonight, Equity Group has continued to emphasize its commitment to ensuring sustainability by enhancing strategies that consider social, economic, natural and environmental aspects. Now, as our reporter Quinto Ofula reports, the group has pledged to be at the forefront in combating climate change through climate financing. Take a look.
Equity Group has released its third sustainability report for 2023, which is themed "A Sustainable World is a Transformed Africa."
If we team together, work together, rallied together, we could be able to push the needle. And that explains why we have put all these together into a plan we are calling the African Recovery and Resilience Plan.
The bank has emphasized its commitment to improving the well-being of its customers by enhancing their working environment as well as the natural surroundings.
And so we must change that narrative that insists on the tyranny of low expectations and start to think of ourselves completely different and to demand of greater expectations and in the partnerships that we have.
The group has also acknowledged the crucial role that natural capital plays in Africa's economy and has taken a leadership position to ensure a clean environment that is safe for the present and future generation.
Look at unutilized arable land, 65% of the world reserve. Look at renewable energy, 62% of the world reserve.
The sustainable development requires an integrated approach that considers both environmental concerns together with social economic development.
Additionally, Equity has expressed its satisfaction with the success of its sustainable projects in social engagement, economic resilience, and empowerment efforts, which have